Hi, I'm Shashank Bhargav, and you're listening to Three Things, the Indian Express news show. A little over a week back, at least three separate incidents of violence took place in Madhya Pradesh. One of them was in Ujjain, the other in the Indore district, and the third one in the district of Mandsaur. But all these three incidents had something in common. In all three of them, rallies were carried out by Hindu right wing groups through either Muslim dominated or communally sensitive areas. Hindu chants and slogans were raised along with saffron flags. In some cases, houses were ransacked and Muslim places of worship were attacked. And then, stone pelting and clashes took place between those participating in the rallies and the residents of the area. In this episode, we take a look at what exactly happened in these three areas and the action that the authorities have taken in response. For this, Iram Siddiqui, who reports on Madhya Pradesh for the Indian Express, joins us. And we first talked to her about Ujjain, where a rally of over 300 people was carried out by the Bharatiya Janata Yuva Morcha, which is the youth wing of the BJP, along with other right wing groups.
Essentially, the idea was there were 6 small groups. They were to meet at a Bharat Mata Mandir, which is right behind Begum area, a Muslim-dominated locality. It was a bike rally. When these large group of people on their bikes were passing through Begum holding saffron flags, these people, according to the residents, were chanting abusive slogans such as Bacha Bacha Ram Ka, Chachi Hoke Kaam Ka, and stuff like that. So when that happened, it happened for the first time, the second time. But when another group passed through Begum Bagh, a couple of residents retaliated by throwing stones. Now, it is unsure as to who was the first person to pelt the stone, but that happened. Now, as a retaliation, the people on the bike also started pelting stones. Some residents also say that these people on the bike specifically stopped outside mosques and chanted slogans and played Hanuman Chalisa and other some music on the DJs that they were carrying. So when that happened, there was retaliation from the other side, and there was stone pelting on both the sides, and a couple of people were injured. 4 people apparently. They were all from the rally that were injured and then taken to the hospital.
Later, the police came and started arresting people based on a lot of videos that were doing the rounds on WhatsApp and social media. In these videos, you can see some people hurling stones and chanting slogans.
So that happened. Subsequently, over the next 2-3 days, police booked around 18 people, of which 10 were arrested and booked under National Security Act.
But the police didn't just book people, they also did something the next day.
The next day, they came to demolish a house based on the video on which a couple of women are seen standing on the roof and pelting stones. Now, what transpired was when they reached that particular house, they realized that that house belongs to a certain Hindu family and is owned by a woman called Mirabai. She had given out the front portion of a house on rent to a Muslim woman called Hina, who was absconding from Friday night, which is when the incident had happened.
So, just to recap, Hina, the Muslim woman, had been one of the women who were allegedly pelting stones in the video, and she lived as a tenant in Mirabai's house.
When I spoke to Mirabai, she said that I told the cops that we didn't do anything and it was the tenants and they're absconding now. Immediately, according to Mirabai, they just shifted and went to the adjoining house, which was owned by a gentleman, a 62-year-old man called Muhammad Hamid, and demolished his 2-storied house in which around 20 odd people lived, 20 people in his family because he has 3 sons and their extended family and so on and so forth. They demolished the house all the while when Hamid kept pleading that, we had nothing to do with it. The evidence that the administration had was the video. Hamid told them that this is not my house, this is the adjacent house. However, before he could realize what was happening, in a span of perhaps an hour and a half, the house was razed. According to District Collector Ashish Singh, uh, the demolition was a way to ensure that the economic backbone of such miscreants is broken so that they cannot afford to get into an act like this again.
Just to be clear, the police seem to have no concrete evidence that Muhammad Hamid had anything to do with the violence that took place that day. And yet, his entire house was razed. The police only say that they got information through their own sources.
Now, this particular family, Muhammad Hamid, he was preparing for his granddaughter's wedding, and all the stuff. There was a huge gutter before his house, was just thrown in it. They were not given any time to remove their belongings. Some residents came to help them and just picked out whatever they could from the gutter. Some kept whatever that was left and removed from the debris into their homes. These guys had nowhere to stay. They were living on the streets. They had around 10 small children, the old people. So the very Mirabai, whose house the cops had come to demolish, has given them some portion of her house to live in. That's where the family right now is living. And the community people keep on helping them, giving them food, plates, and so on and so forth. That's what has happened so far there in Ujjain.
Iram says that one FIR in the case has been registered by those in the rally, who allege that the residents of Begum Bagh beat them up badly. And another FIR has been registered by the residents of Begum Bagh, saying that they were attacked. But the police have only arrested the residents of Begum Bagh so far.
The cops has only managed to identify one person and name that person in the FIR, in the cross FIR in which the Begum Bagh residents are alleging that they were also beaten up. Only one person has been identified from the rally, who has also not been arrested so far, whereas 18 people from Begum Bagh have been put behind bars, 10 of them under NSA.
The arrests in the case and the demolition of Muhammad Hamid's house in particular have drawn criticism by many. In fact, talking about the demolition, the former Supreme Court Judge Deepak Gupta told the Indian Express that this is a mockery of the rule of law and that there is no power to the police to demolish structures like this. He also added that this was absolutely illegal and an act of police state. Now, this incident in Ujjain took place on the 25th of December. But only 3 days after that, another incident took place in the village of Chandankhedi in the district of Indore.
The Chandankhedi village where the incident happened is in Samver in Indore. It is about 25 odd kilometers from Ujjain. What happened in Indore was a similar rally was carried out by right-wing groups. This rally was called by a certain person called Bharat Patel. So when this rally was crossing the Chandankhedi village, which is an absolutely Muslim-dominated village with a ratio of 400 Muslim families and about 10 odd Hindu homes, according to the deputy IG, Harichari Mishra, the rally had nowhere to go but pass through the Muslim village to go to an adjoining Hindu village where they were to create awareness for donations for the construction of Ram Mandir in Ayodhya. That was the purpose of the rally.
Iram says that the problem started when the rally was passing along an Eidgah, the place where Muslims pray during the festival of Eid.
According to eyewitnesses, a portion of the rally had crossed while a group was remaining. They stopped before the Eidgah and started hurling abuses and chanting slogans that offended the community people. There was also a clash because the residents of Chandankhedi were videographing the rally while they were passing and chanting slogans, to which the people in the rally had also objected. And the argument intensified. And then there were clashes. These guys, the villagers, pelted stones, and there was retaliation from those in the rally.
So far, very similar to what happened in Ujjain, basically.
Absolutely. And what happened was that these people were fewer in number and thereby outnumbered by those in the village of Chandankhedi. So they dispersed. They went only to return 2 hours later with nearly 3 times their strength, is what the residents have to say.
The people, when they returned with swords and lathis. Some men even tried to destroy the minaret of the Eidgah. In a video, one of them can be seen hitting it with a sword. You can hear that sound of the sword hitting the minaret in the video. And Iram says that apart from this, gunshots were also fired. Cattle in the area was shot, and so was a man named Saddam Patel. He was shot in the leg.
What happened was when this mob returned, they started targeting the houses on the fringe of the village. There was this one house which has suffered the most damage in that particular village, was owned by Saddam Patel. When the cops came trying to get the situation under control, they asked all the people to move in the houses. This whole family was inside the house when those in the rally came and put fire to the house. The three tractors, bike, and a lot of winter clothes like bed sheets and quilts that were put outside were put on fire. The cops came knocking on their door, asking the three brothers to come out and help them to douse the fire. According to Sakir Patel, one of the four people who have been injured from that house, as soon as they stepped outside of their house to switch on the motor pump so that they could douse the fire, they were attacked by a mob from behind who had lathis in their hands and swords. They were put on ground and badly beaten for about 10-15 minutes. And the cops, this particular Sakir Patel alleges that the three policemen who had called them outside just walked away from there without helping them or trying to stop the people who were beating them. To help Sakir, his brother stepped out and he was shot by somebody from behind, and that's how he sustained the bullet injury to his leg.
Iram says that these people were eventually rushed to a hospital, and the police, who hadn't anticipated that the situation would get out of control, later used tear gas and smoke cans to get things in order. Another thing that the villagers of Chandan Khedi allege is that a day after this incident, a former MLA named Manoj Patel visited the area.
And said that all the houses are illegal and the government should carry out demolition. If that does not happen, Hindu men will come and create havoc in the village. All right. Now the villagers are alleging that Manoj Patel had lost the previous election. He's not the sitting MLA, he's a former MLA, because nobody from the village had voted for him. He had received merely 25 votes from that particular village. Now Bharat Patel, who organized this rally, is a close aide of Manoj Patel. So when clashes broke out and the second wave of that mob came, it was also somewhere, according to the villagers, brought in by Manoj Patel and his men.
And what ended up happening was that the next day, the cops did come to the village and partially demolished at least 15 houses, saying that these houses were coming in the way of a road widening project.
According to the village sarpanch, he says that yes, the houses were illegal, but the timing of the drive is slightly unsettling because a lot of men from the houses that are being demolished were also picked up by the cops and are presently in jail for allegedly resorting to stone pelting based on video evidences that the cops claim that they have from that particular day of the clash that happened in Chandan Khedi. In Chandan Khedi, they have arrested 31 people. The figure keeps fluctuating because there are more and more arrests happening and they're identifying people and picking up. So they have so far arrested 30 people, of which 27 are from that particular village, residents of the village, who were, according to the cops, pelting stones. While the other 3 people who have been arrested are the ones who were caught climbing on the minar with a sword trying to break it.
Iram says that the villagers have alleged that the police did not do enough to stop the violence and did not come to their aid. In response, the police so far has suspended the deputy SP of the area and the inspector of Gautampura, under which the village falls. Iram had also spoken to the Inspector General of Police about the allegations made by the villagers, and he said that he would take action even against policemen if someone comes forward with proper evidence.
As of now, the atmosphere in Chandan Khedi, when we visited there was this absolute quiet. There was nobody stepping out. There was also curfew imposed there for 2 days. Even now, there are policemen patrolling the streets. Villagers are mostly huddled in their homes, unsure of even talking loudly or attracting undue attention of the policemen because they're scared because they don't know who will be arrested next.
So this is what happened in Chandan Khedi in the district of Indore. Now, before we talk about what happened in the third incident, let us compare what happened in Ujjain and in Chandan Khedi. The similarities between the two are that rallies were carried out by Hindu right wing groups in Muslim dominated areas. There were aggressive chants and slogans that eventually led to stone pelting, and the fact that the next day, demolition drives were carried out by the authorities. The difference was that in Ujjain, they said that the demolition was done to sort of punish the miscreants, and in Chandankhedi, they said that it was because the houses were illegal. In Chandankhedi, men who could be seen trying to damage the minaret were arrested, while in Ujjain, no one participating in the rally has been arrested so far. Plus, in Chandankhedi, 2 policemen have also been suspended. It would be helpful to remember these details because the third incident also had similar things happening. This one took place in the Dorana village, which lies in the Mandsaur district. There, the rally was conducted by the VHP, that is the Vishwa Hindu Parishad, another Hindu right wing group. And it happened on the same day that clashes had broken out in Ujjain.
So when the rally was passing by a mosque in Durana, the rally stopped before that mosque and similar music or the shank or slogans were shouted. However, the villagers stopped that rally and asked them to move a little away and then play the music, which they did and then left from that particular village that on December 25th. However, after that, according to the villagers, there was a meeting held after which a lot of messages went viral on social media where the VHP, some people quoting VHP said that, we have a huge rally that will pass through Durana on 29th of December, and we need to teach the descendants of Aurangzeb and the religious choosas a lesson. And they urged the Hindu men to join the rally bearing saffron flags in large numbers. Now, these messages, as they went viral on social media, on WhatsApp groups, they were spotted by the villagers who wrote a letter, who went to meet the inspector in charge of the Nai Abadi police station, under which the village falls. They also went and gave a written application to the superintendent of police stating that such a rally is passing by our village and these are the kind of messages that are going viral. You please do something about it. According to the villagers, the inspector told them to just remove all the flags that they have put up atop their homes and ensure that they remain indoors. Nobody is out on the terrace when the rally passes by their village, and the rest will be taken care by the cops.
Houses in that area generally have flags on the top of the houses. Muslim houses would have a typical Islamic flag, and a Hindu household might have a saffron flag. That's what the inspector was referring to.
The superintendent of police told them that yes, we are aware of it, gave them a received copy of their application and said that we'll look into it. According to the superintendent of police, Siddharth Chaudhary, considering that, such messages were going viral and the cops had some idea that, things could go wrong in the village, they deployed 100 policemen, 6 inspectors, and additional SP of that particular district in that village. However, according to the cops, there were around 5,000 to 6,000 people who turned up on that day in the rally. And most of these people were in the age group of 15 to 25. Some of them had also come in from the adjoining state of Rajasthan. So geographically, Dorana is merely 2 kilometers away from the Rajasthan border. So a lot of people who were not essentially from Dorana and who were not from that particular district had come to participate in the rally. And when they came in, they ransacked homes. They broke everything that they could lay their hands on, from doors to plastic water tanks, glass, scribbled Jai Shri Ram on walls, anything and everything that they could do. They also chased women in the field. So the villagers had sent their women away because of security concerns. But whoever was there, they were chased in the field.
And this is obviously all happening to houses that are Muslim?
Specifically to Muslim, because a couple of residents told me that his house was located between 2 Hindu homes and nothing happened to either of the Hindu homes. Just his house was attacked. The residents also alleged that the Hindu villagers from that particular village also helped the mob identify the Hindu homes from the Muslim. But when I went and I spoke to the Hindu homes, the Hindu families there, all they had to say is, "What? Why would we do that? They have already put up flags, which is evident enough for people to distinguish which is a Hindu home and which is not."
The situation in Dorana, it seems, was too much for the local police to handle. There were nearly 5,000 men in the rally, like Iram mentioned, and so they felt it was not advisable to use force.
Their idea was to keep the rally moving and get them out of the village as soon as possible. And when they were trying to do that, a couple of men went and, according to the cops, they were trying to restrict the rally or the mob in the rally on the main road of the village, ensuring that they don't go into the narrow lanes or, try to enter any homes. But obviously that didn't happen. However, the cops said that they did their best and they got the rally out of that village in the next 2 hours. The rally was to assemble at a nearby school, which they did not let happen, and they sent them away. Subsequently, they registered 3 to 4 FIRs. In that, around 58 people have been identified by the villagers, of which 3 to 4 people have been booked. So these are the same people. Of course, in Durana also, when the rally came on the 29th, the mob stopped before the same mosque where they were not allowed to play slogans on the December 25th, and they ensured that they climbed atop the minarets of the mosque and put up flags. They did the same to all the houses that they could, climbed on the houses and removed the green colored Muslim flags and put up saffron flags.
Iram says that the police knew that the mob would try to do something like that. And so the police personnel had been given special instructions that nothing should happen to the mosque.
And with that, as soon as the mob climbed the minaret and put the saffron flag, a cop went up on the minaret, held the flag for a couple of seconds, and then took it down. But in a video, you can see the cop going on the minaret, holding the flag up there for a couple of seconds, waving it as the mob cheered down, and then taking it down.
And so then in the case of Dorana, have the cops managed to arrest anyone?
Yeah. So the cops have arrested 4 people in Dorana as well. Now, these are the people who have been caught in the videos trying to climb on the houses or on the, masjid minaret and putting up flags based on the video evidence so far. Yeah, that's all for now.
Okay, so when you look at these 3 incidents and the violence that followed, how unusual would you say is something like this to happen in Madhya Pradesh?
So, MP, despite being, a state which is slightly communally sensitive, if I may say so, but it has been very peaceful. Of course, Agar Malwa, the Malwa belt, where all the 3 incidents have happened, be it Ujjain or Indore or Mandsaur, this lies in the Agar Malwa portion of Madhya Pradesh, which is a stronghold of RSS. So thereby, it's more evident that, this kind of communal tension is likely to break out in that particular belt, because the Muslim population there is anyways very negligible, and it's a stronghold of the RSS right from the beginning when, Madhya Pradesh was Madhya Prant. No matter what has happened, RSS or the BJP never sort of loses any election from that particular belt, no matter what happens.
Plus, the other thing to note is that all 3 rallies had taken place only after the RSS made an official call to create awareness about a donation drive that is scheduled to take place starting January 15. A 44-day nationwide fundraising campaign for the Ram Temple in Ayodhya. In this campaign, volunteers are supposed to collect donations during a door-to-door drive and distribute literature related to the Ram Janmabhoomi movement along with photographs of the temple's design. But right now, there are fears that during this campaign, more such incidents of violence might occur. In the end, we asked Iram about the kind of political reactions that these 3 incidents have sparked in the state and what the Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan had to say about them.
So soon after the Ujjain incident, which was the first, the Congress party had demanded an impartial probe And when Home Minister Narottam Mishra was asked about the demolition drive and the demolition of the house carried out in Ujjain, all he had to say was, "Jahan se patthar aayega, wahin se to nikala jayega," meaning stones will be removed from the house from which the stones have been pelted. So, having said that, the government has repeatedly made statements, be it the chief minister or the pro tem speaker Rameshwar Sharma or other senior office bearers, saying that stone pelters would be taught a lesson. Chief Minister Shivraj Singh said that action will be taken against miscreants and the law will take its course and will ensure that Madhya Pradesh remains a land of peace, specifically saying that stone pelters will be taught a lesson. And similarly, there have been some talks of a possibility of a law to book people who pelt stones. So that's what the government had to say.
You were listening to Three Things by The Indian Express. Today's show was written and produced by me, Shashank Bhargav, and as always was edited and mixed by our producer, Joshua Thomas. If you like this show, then you can subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. You can also recommend the show to someone you think will like it, share it with a friend or someone in your family. It's the best way for people to get to know about us. You can also tweet us at Express Audio and write to us at podcast@indianexpress.com.